Chosen one. Pause for a moment and let the noise around you fade. This is not an ordinary moment scrolling through a screen. This is a summons, delivered from heaven's throne, straight into your life. You were not supposed to miss this, and you won't, because heaven has stopped everything to make sure you hear it. You may not realize it, but your name has been spoken in heaven's council. Angels have been assigned to guard, guide, and deliver what belongs to you. And right now, the reason you feel that stirring deep inside is because the divine timing has arrived. You are standing in the very moment for which you were prepared, even before the world saw your face. Heaven had already marked your assignment. The paths you walked, the people you met, even the disappointments you endured were all pieces of a greater pattern. You thought you were lost, but you were being led. You thought you were wandering, but you were on a divine trail. Every prayer you whispered in the dark was gathered like treasure, stored for this day. Now, the same God who heard you then is answering you now. And the atmosphere around you is shifting to usher in the very miracle you were born to carry. Your arrival at this point is not just about you, it is a signal in the spiritual realm. Every angel assigned to your destiny stands at attention, ready to execute heaven's orders on your behalf. The battles you fought were not in vain. They weakened the chains that tried to keep you bound. Even your tears were not wasted. They watered the soil where your promise would grow. Today, those seeds are breaking the surface, and the stirring in your spirit, that's the sound of heaven saying, "The appointed time has come." Enza. It is written in the book of Isaiah, chapter 2, verse 31. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. This is not just poetry, it is a decree over your life right now. Heaven has looked at your exhaustion, your long nights, your private tears, and is declaring strength and renewal over you in this very hour. Think about the path that brought you here. Every hardship, every closed door, every battle you fought, it all seemed random, even cruel at times. But heaven saw the end from the beginning. The delays were not punishment, they were divine preparation. If the blessing had come earlier, you might not have been ready to carry it. If the miracle had arrived in a previous season, you might not have recognized it. This is why, chosen one, you cannot look at your past and call it wasted. The training you endured in secret has prepared you to handle the weight of the miracle that is now rushing toward you. The enemy tried to tell you that your moment had passed, but in truth, it is only just arriving. You are in the right place at the right time, and heaven has orchestrated every detail so you cannot miss it. Your presence here is proof. Do you understand how much had to align for you to be hearing this message right now? The Spirit of God has intercepted you. Yes. Right here. Right now, because He will not let this season slip away from you unnoticed. This is your appointed time. And there is a boldness in heaven's voice that will not be silenced until you receive what has been prepared. So hear me clearly. Your breakthrough is not an idea. It is not someday, it is now. And when heaven declares now, no power in hell can push it back. No weapon, no lie, no delay can cancel what God has sealed with His word. You have been preserved for this moment, and this moment has been preserved for you. Beloved, this is not a call to simply listen and feel inspired. This is a divine appointment that requires your agreement. That is why I'm asking you before this moment passes to take an action of faith. Like this message, share it so that others who are also on heaven's radar can be reached. And subscribe so that every word heaven is speaking in this season can find you. You are not here to be entertained. You are here to be aligned. And alignment starts with a declaration. Right now, as an act of agreement, type 777 inch the comments. Do it as a prophetic statement that you will not miss your miracle, that you are stepping into your appointed moment, and that you are ready for the fullness of what heaven has prepared for you. Chosen one. The eagle does not flap frantically to rise, it catches the wind and soars. Today, the wind of God is lifting you. You will not miss this. Heaven will not allow it. Chosen one. Before the sun ever rose on your first day, before you spoke your first word or took your first breath, you were already known. Not just noticed, known. Known in the deepest sense. As one whose life was written out in heaven's own ink. You were not an afterthought. You were not an accident. You were marked since before time began. The world saw your birth as a moment in time. Heaven saw it as the manifestation of a plan conceived in eternity. Every gift you carry, every quirk in your personality, every deep longing in your heart, they are all part of the blueprint. The God who designed galaxies and set oceans in place also crafted the details of your being with the same precision and intentionality. That is why you have never fully blended in with the world around you. You were made to stand out. Scripture says in the Gospel of John, chapter 15, verse 16, "You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you to go and bear fruit, fruit that will last." This is not just an encouraging thought, it is a statement of ownership. You are His, chosen and appointed, not by the vote of men, but by the decree of heaven. From the earliest days, there were signs. Maybe you felt things others didn't. Maybe you saw injustice and could not ignore it. Maybe you carried a deep awareness that there was more to life than the surface-level routine others seemed content with. This sensitivity was not weakness. It was evidence of the mark on your life. It set you apart, not for elitism, but for responsibility. Chosen ones do not live for themselves. They are vessels, conduits of something greater than their own ambitions. This calling, however, has not come without a cost. From childhood, there have been forces trying to distort or destroy your identity. People may have misunderstood you, labeling you as too much, too sensitive, or too different. In truth, the enemy recognized your potential before you even knew you had any. That's why the attacks seemed relentless. Why rejection felt like a constant shadow, because you were never just a person, you were a threat to the darkness. Yet, what the enemy intended for harm has only confirmed your chosenness. Those moments of deep loneliness, those seasons of being overlooked, they were, in a strange way, divine insulation. God kept you hidden, shielding your destiny until the appointed season. Diamonds are not displayed in the open while still in their raw form. They are refined in secret until their brilliance is ready to be revealed. There is also a weight to being chosen. It is not just about the blessings you will receive. It is about the assignments you must carry. Chosen ones are entrusted with burdens others may never understand. You will be called to stand when others sit, to speak when silence would be safer, to walk forward when the path is unclear. This is why your faith has been tested so intensely. Heaven will never place a mantle on someone untested by fire. Still, in the midst of the refining, there is an unshakable truth. Your identity as chosen is not based on your performance. You cannot earn it, and you cannot lose it. It is sealed by the one who called you. You may have seasons of doubt, but that does not nullify your appointment. You may stumble, but you will not be disqualified, because the calling on your life is older than your failures. When you finally begin to see yourself the way heaven sees you, the way you move through life changes. You stop asking for permission to exist. You stop shrinking back in the presence of intimidation. You begin to carry yourself with the quiet confidence of one who knows they are backed by the authority of the King of Kings. You stop living as a wanderer and start living as an ambassador. Beloved, the world needs you to step fully into this identity. Not the filtered version you've been allowed to show, but the real, radiant, unapologetic you that heaven envisioned before time began. This is not about ego, it is about stewardship. The gifts within you were never meant to remain dormant. They were placed in you to bear fruit. Fruit that will last long after you leave this world. In time, you will look back on this realization as the turning point, the moment you stopped doubting whether you were chosen and started walking as one who knew it without question. And from that moment forward, everything changes. Chosen one. There is a truth you must confront. Today, every heavy burden you carried was not evidence of God's absence, but of His intentional preparation. The weight you felt was not a curse. It was proof that you were trusted with more than most. You have walked roads others would not survive, endured nights that seemed to have no dawn, and still you stand here, listening. You may have wondered, why me? Why the betrayals? The loss? The endless uphill climb? Because heaven knew you could bear it. And not only bear it, you could come through refined, stronger, and carrying the keys to set others free. The very pain that tried to crush you has become the platform from which you will speak life. And one day, you will see that every wound became a wellspring of wisdom, every scar a seal of authority. You will speak into broken places with a voice forged in the fire. And those still in chains will find freedom because you chose to endure and rise. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 66, verse 10, "For you, God, tested us. You refined us like silver." Silver is not refined in still water. It is refined in fire. You were placed in the furnace, not to destroy you, but to burn away what could not go with you into your destiny. Some of your battles were private. No one knew the depth of your struggle because you kept moving, kept smiling, kept showing up. But heaven saw. Every tear was counted, every groan heard. Every moment you nearly quit was noted. And here is the part that makes the enemy furious. You didn't quit. You refused to die in the wilderness. Chosen one. There is a reason your life has felt heavier than most. You have been carrying a spiritual pregnancy. The weight was not just your own, it was the weight of the assignment, the miracle, the ministry, the influence you were destined to birth. Others may have looked at your life and thought you were slow to progress, but you knew there was something growing inside you that could not be rushed. The enemy wanted you to mistake the weight for punishment. He wanted you to think you were under some curse, that maybe God had turned away. But now you see the truth. If you had been empty, you would have felt light. but you would have had nothing to deliver. The heaviness was proof that something precious was being formed. You were never meant to blend in with the crowd. Your light was too bright. Your voice too distinct. Your spirit too marked by heaven's fingerprint. That's why rejection followed you. It was protection disguised. God was pulling you out from among those who could not handle the magnitude of your destiny. If they could not walk with the weight, they could not walk with the glory. The day is coming, and it is closer than you think when the weight will break. What felt like endless labor will suddenly shift to delivery. And when that moment comes, you will understand why it had to take this long, why it had to cost this much, why it had to press you so deeply. It was never wasted, not a single moment. When you look back, you will see that the heaviness built muscles you didn't know you had: spiritual strength, resilience, discernment, and authority. You will find yourself speaking into situations and watching darkness flee, not because you read about it, but because you lived through it. Your testimony will carry weight because your journey did. And here is what I need you to do right now. I want you to write in the comments, "I am still standing." Just 4 words. Write it as a declaration, as a war cry, as a testimony to the fact that no fire, no storm, no betrayal, and no loss could take you out. When you write it, you are not only declaring your survival, you are prophesying your future. You are telling the darkness, "I am still here, and I am not done." Oh, this declaration matters because it shifts something in the spiritual realm. Heaven hears it as agreement. Hell hears it as defiance. And your own heart hears it as permission to keep pressing forward. You are still standing because you were chosen to withstand what others could not. The weight you carried was never meant to crush you. It was meant to crown you. And soon, very soon, the crown will be visible for all to see. Chosen one. You have wondered why the path has taken so long. Why so many moments of your life have been spent in waiting. Waiting for the promise. Waiting for the breakthrough. Waiting for the change you knew in your heart was coming. To the natural eye, it might have looked like delay. But in the kingdom, nothing was idle. The waiting was not wasted. It was divine timing. What you call delay, heaven calls preparation. There are things God had to arrange in the unseen before he could release what he promised into the seen. The right people had to be positioned, the wrong ones removed. Certain opportunities had to mature. Certain doors had to be built before they could open for you. If your miracle had arrived sooner, it would have been like planting a seed in winter, out of season and unable to take root. The Word of God declares in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 1, "There is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens." You were not being punished by the pause. You were being aligned to the exact season where your miracle could flourish. Divine timing is not only about you being ready, it is about the world being ready for you. There are assignments where your part is the final piece of a larger puzzle. If you step in too early, you may force pieces together that do not fit. But when you move in God's timing, everything clicks into place, and the impact is multiplied. You may have felt invisible in the waiting, as if God had forgotten your address. But invisibility is not the same as abandonment. Invisibility is often God's way of keeping you protected while He finishes the preparation. Like a seed hidden in the soil, you were unseen, but not uncared for. Every moment was measured, every delay purposeful. There is also mercy in the waiting. Some blessings are so weighty that to receive them prematurely would crush you. God loves you too much to give you something you are not yet ready to carry. The seasons that felt like silence were actually seasons of strengthening, teaching you endurance, sharpening your discernment, deepening your roots so you could withstand the storms that inevitably come with increase. Look closely, and you will see that the waiting seasons changed you. They stripped away illusions, burned out impurities, and reshaped your heart to mirror His. You learned to hear His whisper above the noise, to trust His hand when you couldn't trace His plan. And because of this, when the miracle comes, you will not just receive it, you will steward it well. Even now, the alignment is almost complete. What you thought was inactivity was God weaving threads together on a loom you could not see. The relationships that ended, the opportunities that slipped away, the moves you were forced to make, they were all part of positioning you for the perfect collision of readiness and opportunity. When divine timing arrives, it will not creep in quietly. It will come with a sense of inevitability. As though all roads have been leading to this, doors will open without effort. Conversations will lead to unexpected solutions, and opportunities will feel tailor-made for your gifts and calling. You will look back and see that nothing was random. Every twist and turn was a necessary step in the journey. Beloved, divine timing also carries an anointing for acceleration. What took years to prepare can manifest in moments once heaven declares, now. You may have spent a decade in preparation, but the fulfillment can happen in a single day. When the season shifts, it is not by gradual fade, it is by sudden release. And when it comes, you will not have to force it. You will not have to beg, manipulate, or strive. The same God who orchestrated the timing will orchestrate the ease. You will know you are in your season because things will begin to align naturally, with a flow that is unmistakable. This is the beauty of divine timing. It does not drain you, it carries you. Hold this truth close. What is yours is not late. It is not lost. It is not in the hands of another. It is in the hands of God. And He is bringing it to you in the fullness of time. When it arrives, it will be right. It will be ready. And so will you, chosen one. Do not be surprised by the intensity of the battles you faced. Hell saw you coming long before you understood your own calling. The enemy recognized the glow of your anointing when you were still unaware of it yourself. He knew that if you reached the fullness of your purpose, you would become a living threat to the kingdom of darkness. That's why your life has been marked with opposition, often from unexpected places, from the very start. The warfare around you was not random, it was strategic. You have been targeted because you carry something heaven intends to unleash on the earth. The betrayals, the sudden losses, the seasons where doors slammed shut in your face, these were not coincidences. They were calculated strikes meant to derail you before you could grow into the authority you now stand in. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah, chapter 1, verse 5. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations. Oh, when God appoints, the enemy reacts. But no reaction of hell can override the selection of heaven. Look back at the moments when you nearly gave up. Think of the nights you lay awake, wondering if you could take one more step. The truth is, those moments were the enemy's attempts to make you forfeit the race voluntarily. But you didn't quit, and that, chosen one, is your victory. Your refusal to bow under pressure has brought you to this very moment where heaven is about to reward your perseverance. There's something else you need to realize. Every attack you endured has given you spiritual intelligence. You've learned to discern motives, to see through deception, to recognize when an opportunity is bait instead of blessing. What was meant to destroy you has instead equipped you for greater battles ahead. The enemy wanted you wounded. God made you wise. Even the delays you faced were not losses. They were divine shields. Some doors did not open because what waited behind them would have sabotaged your future. Some people left your life because their presence would have weakened your foundation. You may have cried over those endings, but now you can see they were strategic victories. And here's the truth you must hold on to. If the enemy has fought you this hard before your miracle arrives, imagine how much impact you will have once it's in your hands. You are about to move from defensive survival into offensive influence. Instead of merely enduring attacks, you will launch counter-strikes that free others from the very chains you once wore. Beloved, this is why I want to encourage you to remain connected to the flow of this message. When you like, share, and subscribe, you are not just supporting content, you are planting yourself in a stream of prophetic words designed to keep your spirit strong. This is not entertainment. This is equipping. There are countless distractions that can drown out heaven's voice. But staying connected ensures you don't miss the guidance you'll need for the next battles and breakthroughs. If your heart feels stirred and you sense the truth in these words, then you know this is your appointed moment. And if God is leading you, prayerfully consider sowing into this work not as payment, but as a prophetic act. Every seed sown into kingdom soil multiplies back into your life in ways money alone cannot measure. When you give, you are fueling the very message that strengthens you and countless others walking their own battlefield journeys. You must see this for what it is, a pivotal point in your story. The enemy's resistance is proof of your significance. The greater the opposition, the greater the destiny it's trying to block. But the grip of darkness is weakening. The breakthrough is gaining speed. Heaven is leaning forward, ready to pour out what the enemy has been desperate to keep from you. When that moment comes, and it will, you'll realize that every sleepless night, every unanswered question, and every painful separation was not just something you survived, it was something you overcame. And because you overcame, you will now lead others to do the same. You are not a victim of the enemy's schemes. You are a weapon forged in the fire. Every scar on your spirit is an engraving of victory, a testimony that you cannot be defeated. The enemy saw you coming, and he was right to be afraid. Chosen one. There are moments when heaven decides that you cannot be allowed to miss the signs, and you are living in one right now. Even if you tried to ignore them, the markers are too bold, too specific, too divinely timed. These are not coincidences. They are prophetic signposts planted along your path so that you can walk straight into the miracle prepared for you. You may have noticed the pattern, certain numbers appearing repeatedly, random conversations that confirm something you've been praying about, doors opening without explanation, or unexpected resources showing up at the exact time you need them. None of this is random. Heaven is speaking, and the signs are the language. According to what is revealed in the book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verse 6, "In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths." Ayujan, this is not a vague hope, it is a promise. When your heart stays open to him, he will make sure you know exactly where to go and when to go there. For many, Signs are subtle, but for the chosen, they can be loud, even disruptive. Sometimes God will arrange circumstances so unusual that you cannot deny His hand. A stranger might speak words that match the exact phrase you prayed the night before. A sudden shift might close one door, but instantly open another, so perfectly aligned that you can feel the divine choreography behind it. These prophetic markers are mercy in action. They prevent you from wandering into wrong assignments or attaching yourself to things that will drain your purpose. Every sign is a divine nudge, a holy whisper saying, "This is the way, walk in it." Think of the times you felt uncertain, but then something happened that brought immediate clarity. Perhaps it was a conversation, a scripture, a dream, or even a disruption in your plans that ended up saving you from a costly mistake. These are the moments when heaven is not just watching over you, it is actively intervening for you. But here is the part you must grasp. Signs are only effective if you act on them. The point is not to collect confirmations, the point is to follow them. Some people receive endless signs, but never move. That cannot be you. Heaven is sending these prophetic markers to ensure you arrive exactly where your miracle is waiting. Not a step behind, and not a step ahead. There is also a rhythm to the signs. At first, they may seem spaced apart, subtle, but as you draw closer to your appointed moment, they will intensify, appearing in rapid succession. It is heaven's way of saying, "Pay attention, you are almost there." The more you respond to them with faith and obedience, the clearer and more frequent they become. Beloved, you must also remember that signs will often contradict human logic. God may ask you to step in a direction that doesn't make sense on paper. That's because He's not guiding you by numbers and charts. He's guiding you by eternal strategy. This is where trust becomes essential. You cannot demand a sign and then reject it because it doesn't match your expectations. And when you feel the urge to dismiss something as just coincidence, pause. Ask yourself if it might be heaven trying to get your attention in a way that only you would understand. Often, the most personal signs are the ones no one else would notice, but they strike your heart with undeniable clarity. I believe you are in a season where the prophetic markers around you are not just hints, they are neon arrows pointing toward your breakthrough. If you could see from heaven's vantage point, you would notice how every moment is converging into a single alignment. The signs are surrounding you, not to tease you, but to guide you home. This is why, right now, I want you to make a prophetic declaration in the comments by typing 4,444. This is more than a number. It is a statement of awareness, that your eyes are open to the signs and your heart is ready to follow them. You are declaring to heaven, "I will not miss it. I will walk where you lead." And when you write it, you are stepping into agreement with the one who holds the map to your destiny. You are telling the enemy that you refuse to be distracted or delayed, and you are reminding yourself that every step you take is guided by the hand of the Almighty. Chosen one, the signs are all around you. Pay attention, move when prompted, and watch how every marker leads you straight into the miracle that has been waiting with your name on it. Chosen one, you have spent seasons in the shadows, unseen and unnoticed by those around you. There were times you wondered if you had been forgotten altogether, as if the world had moved on and left you behind. But what felt like obscurity was never abandonment, it was God's strategy. You were being hidden, not because you were unworthy, but because you were too valuable to be exposed too soon. In every great story of destiny, there is a period of concealment. David tended sheep in the fields long before he faced Goliath. Joseph sat in a prison cell before stepping into the palace. Even Jesus himself spent 30 years in quiet preparation before his public ministry began. The hidden place is not a delay, it is a forge, shaping the character that will sustain the calling. The apostle reminds us in his letter to the Corinthians, chapter 4, verse 7, "But we have this treasure in jars of clay to show that this all-surpassing power is from God and not from us." The treasure you carry is priceless, but it has been kept in an ordinary-looking vessel until the appointed time. While you were in hiding, heaven was refining you. In the unseen, you were learning lessons that cannot be taught in the spotlight: how to discern God's voice, how to endure opposition without losing your joy, how to remain faithful when no one is applauding. You were building strength in private so that when you step into visibility, you will not crumble under the weight of expectation. The hidden season also protected you from premature exposure. In the wrong environment, your gifts could have been exploited, twisted, or drained by those who only sought to use you for their own gain. God knew that if you were revealed too soon, the very people meant to support you might instead suffocate your calling. So he kept you covered, like a seed buried deep in the soil, away from predators and harsh elements. In that place, God was pruning away what could not survive in your next chapter: false identities, unhealthy attachments, and the need for constant validation. He was teaching you to find your worth in Him alone, so that when the crowds eventually come, their praise will not inflate you, and their criticism will not break you. And now, the stirring you feel in your spirit is heaven pulling back the curtain. The season of hiding is drawing to a close. The quiet preparation is giving way to public assignment. It will not be a gradual fade-in, but a decisive unveiling. One moment, you will be where you've always been, and the next, you will be standing in a place you've only dreamed of. When that moment comes, it will be clear that it is not the result of self-promotion or human networking. It will be the undeniable hand of God. The doors that open will be ones you could never have forced. The opportunities will align too perfectly to be coincidence, and the timing will confirm that heaven alone orchestrated it. But you must remember, visibility is not for vanity, it is for purpose. God is not pulling you out of hiding so that you can be seen for the sake of being seen. He is positioning you so that your life can become a signpost pointing others to Him. Your story, your scars, your victories, all of it will speak to those who are still in their own hidden seasons, showing them that waiting is not wasting. There is also a weight to being seen. The same light that reveals your gifts will also reveal your flaws. The same platform that amplifies your voice will also attract opposition. This is why the hidden years were so crucial. They gave you roots deep enough to keep you steady when the winds of public pressure begin to blow. Beloved, take heart in knowing that nothing you endured in the shadows was wasted. Every unnoticed act of obedience, every unseen tear, every prayer, whispered when no one else was listening, it has all been gathered and stored in heaven's record. Now, as the season shifts, those private investments will yield public fruit, and when the unveiling comes, you will not have to strive for recognition. The same God who hid you will be the one to reveal you, and just as He decided when to keep you out of sight, He will decide the perfect moment to bring you forward. Trust His timing, and trust that when He says it is time, no force on earth or in hell can keep you hidden. You are being pulled out of hiding. Chosen one, not because your preparation is incomplete, but because your assignment is about to begin. Stand ready. The world is about to see what heaven has been shaping all along. Chosen one, if you truly knew how close you came to missing this moment, your knees would buckle in gratitude. There were crossroads where one wrong step could have led you far from your purpose. There were seasons where the weight of weariness almost convinced you to turn back. There were moments when disobedience whispered its invitation, and compromise seemed easier than perseverance. Yet in all of it, mercy stood guard. Mercy is not simply pardon, it is intervention. It is the unseen hand that pulls you back from the edge. The quiet voice that speaks through the noise. The shield that intercepts a blow meant to end you. You did not earn it, but you could not survive without it. The voice of God thundered in the book of Exodus, chapter 33, verse 19. I will have mercy on whom I will have mercy, and I will have compassion on whom I will have compassion. That is your story, not because you walked perfectly, but because the one who called you refused to let you walk away. In seasons of wandering, mercy redirected you. When you tried to close your heart, mercy pried it open. When you resisted the very thing you were made for, mercy softened your grip on the counterfeit so you could embrace the real. You thought it was your discipline keeping you in place, but it was mercy holding the line. There were prayers you prayed in desperation that seemed unanswered, but now you see they were answered in a better way than you imagined. Some doors remained locked because what waited on the other side would have stolen your strength. Some relationships ended abruptly because their presence would have slowed your pace. You grieved these losses without realizing they were acts of protection. Mercy is patient, but it is also purposeful. It does not hold the door open forever. There is a timing to grace, a window of opportunity that must be stepped through. You are still here because you have not yet missed that window. The miracle has been preserved for you, and you have been preserved for the miracle. Consider the seasons where you almost settled, where you told yourself that good enough would do. Mercy would not allow it. The discomfort you felt was not punishment. It was the refusal of heaven to let you trade eternal destiny for temporary relief. Mercy made your spirit restless in places where you did not belong, ensuring you would keep moving toward where you did. And it is not only your destiny that mercy is guarding. There are people connected to your obedience lives you will impact. Chains you will break. Legacies you will help restore. If you missed your moment, they would miss theirs. This is why heaven takes your path so seriously. You are not an isolated story. You are a link in a divine chain. In hindsight, you can already trace the fingerprints of mercy. The near accidents that didn't happen, the illnesses you recovered from, the bad decisions that somehow didn't destroy you, all of it was the keeping power of God. These moments were not luck. They were not chance. They were acts of deliberate intervention from the one who refuses to lose you. And now, mercy is not just preserving you, it is positioning you. The very detours you resented have placed you at the threshold of the door you were meant to walk through all along. You may not understand every twist in the road, but you will recognize the purpose when you see the view from the other side. The beauty of mercy is that it does not merely restore what you lost. It often adds what you didn't know you needed. When you step through this next door, you will find resources, relationships, and opportunities arranged in perfect alignment, as if they were waiting for your arrival. That is because they were beloved. Never confuse mercy with leniency. Leniency looks the other way. Mercy steps in and changes the outcome. You have been carried by a power greater than your resolve, greater than your discipline, greater even than your faith. At times, and because mercy has brought you this far, it will not abandon you now. The same hand that kept you from falling will steady you as you rise. The same voice that called you back will now call you forward. And when you finally step fully into what has been preserved for you, you will know beyond doubt it was mercy that made it possible. Chosen one. There comes a moment when the impossible is no longer a distant dream, but an open doorway. That moment is not born from striving or endless effort. It is unlocked by obedience. Heaven's strategies are different from man's. While the world tells you to push harder and do more, the kingdom often moves when you pause, listen, and simply say, "Yes, Lord," and "Oh." Obedience is the key that turns what you cannot do into what God will do through you. There are battles you've been fighting for years that will end in an instant the moment you align your steps with His instructions. There are prayers you've prayed that will be answered the moment you act on the last thing He told you. As was spoken in the sacred texts of old, in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 5, verse 33, "Walk in obedience to all the Lord commands, so you may live and prosper, and prolong your days in the land you will possess." This is not a casual suggestion, it is a divine guarantee. Think about the times when you followed His leading, even when it didn't make sense. You may have risked comfort, reputation, or security. Yet the result was something you could never have orchestrated on your own. That is the nature of obedience. It carries supernatural acceleration. One act of surrender can accomplish what a lifetime of self-effort could not. But obedience is not always easy. It will often challenge the very areas where you want control. It may mean forgiving someone who does not deserve it, walking away from an opportunity that looks promising but feels wrong in your spirit, or stepping into a role you feel unqualified to fill. These moments test not just your willingness, but your trust. Do you believe that God knows what He is doing? Even when you cannot see the full picture, the enemy knows the power of your obedience, which is why he fights it so fiercely. He will whisper doubt, stir up fear, or send distractions to delay your response. He knows that delayed obedience often becomes disobedience. This is why clarity in hearing God's voice and courage in responding to it are so vital in this season. Beloved, obedience is more than a single act. It is a posture of the heart. It is living in a constant yes toward God, ready to move when He says move, and ready to wait when He says wait. This posture keeps you aligned so that when your miracle arrives, you are in the exact position to receive it. There is a boldness that rises when you obey without hesitation. You begin to see the patterns of heaven unfold around you, divine appointments, inexplicable provision, supernatural favor. You realize that you are not chasing the blessing. The blessing is chasing you because you are walking in step with the blesser. And this is where you are right now. Heaven is waiting for your yes. Not because God cannot act without it, but because He has chosen to work in partnership with you. Your obedience is the signal that you are ready to steward what He is about to release. I want you to put this in the comments as a declaration. I will obey. Just 3 words, but they carry eternal weight. When you write them, You are making a prophetic stand in the face of every distraction, every fear, every temptation to delay. You are saying to heaven, I am aligned. And you are saying to the enemy, you will not talk me out of my miracle. None. Writing it is not just symbolic, it's a public witness. Even in this digital space, that your heart is set. It is a way of anchoring yourself to the decision so that when the testing comes, and it will, you can return to this moment and remember the vow you made. Beloved, your yes today may unlock doors you have been pounding on for years. It may set in motion a chain of events that ripples into generations. It may release someone else's answer to prayer because your obedience positioned you in the right place at the right time. The truth is, the greatest victories often come on the other side of the smallest acts of faith. The size of the step does not determine the size of the breakthrough. The alignment does. When your will aligns with His, impossibilities crumble. So stand ready. Chosen one. Say yes without fear, without delay, without reservation. Heaven is already moving in response to the obedience you are choosing in this very moment. Chosen one. The miracle that is coming to you will not only transform your life, it will send shockwaves into the realm of darkness. The light you carry is not passive, it is disruptive. And when light enters, darkness has no choice but to flee. Your breakthrough is not simply for your personal blessing. It is a weapon designed to expose and dismantle the enemy's works. From the moment you said yes to your calling, the atmosphere around you began to shift. You may not have seen it yet in full, but in the spirit, strongholds have already started to crack. Your presence is a declaration that darkness cannot reign, uncontested. Where you walk, the influence of the enemy weakens. Where you speak truth, lies lose their power. Where you extend grace, the works of hatred are undone. It was proclaimed in the second letter to Timothy, chapter 1, verse 9. He has saved us and called us to a holy life, not because of what we have done, but because of His purpose and grace. Your light is not born from your perfection, but from His grace flowing through you. That is why the enemy cannot extinguish it. He cannot touch what heaven has ignited. Think of the times you walked into a room and felt an unexplainable tension. That was not in your imagination. It was the collision of spiritual forces. Darkness recognized that you carried something dangerous to its survival. You may have felt small in those moments, but in the unseen realm, your arrival was like a trumpet blast announcing that the reign of oppression in that place was over. This is why it is so important to stay spiritually sharp. The more you nurture your light through prayer, worship, the Word, the brighter it burns. And as it burns, it will reveal things hidden in the shadows, lies, injustices, and even spiritual attacks that others might overlook. You are not just a recipient of miracles, you are a carrier of them, delivering breakthrough wherever God sends you. The enemy wants you to believe that your influence is limited to the people you can see. But heaven sees your impact ripple far beyond your reach. Every word of encouragement you release, every act of obedience, every time you intercede for someone, it all sends light further into places you may never set foot in physically. Beloved, this is why I urge you to remain connected. When you like, share, and subscribe to messages like this, you are not simply boosting numbers, you are helping light travel faster. Every click extends the reach of the truth, pushing it into spaces where darkness has been unchallenged for too long. The more the light spreads, the more territory the kingdom gains. And if God stirs your heart to do so, prayerfully, consider sowing into this work. I don't speak of giving as a transaction, but as a prophetic act, an investment in the very stream that is pouring strength, clarity, and hope into your spirit. Just as a lamp burns brighter when it is fueled, so this light will continue to shine stronger and reach farther when supported by those it serves. Your seed may feel small, but in the kingdom, even the smallest act of faith multiplies beyond what the giver can see. Do not underestimate what God can do through your life. The same anointing that breaks yokes in your personal battles will flow into your workplace, your family, your community. Your miracle will not be contained, it will spill over, saturating every area of your life and touching those around you. But with great light comes great responsibility. The world will watch you, and the enemy will target you. Do not let that frighten you. Let it remind you of your significance. No thief bothers with an empty house. The very fact that the enemy opposes you is proof that you carry something worth protecting. So guard your light. Feed it daily. And remember that it is not just for you. It is a torch meant to ignite others. In this next season, you will see people drawn to you without knowing why. They will sense the safety, the clarity, the peace you carry, and you will have the privilege of pointing them to the source of it all. Chosen one, your miracle is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of a movement. As it manifests, it will declare to every watching eye, human and spiritual alike, that darkness has lost ground, and the kingdom of heaven has advanced. Chosen one, there is a realm of blessing that moves faster than you can imagine. It is not the slow climb of human achievement, but the sudden acceleration of divine favor. When God releases this kind of favor, you find yourself standing in places you never applied for, speaking in rooms you never fought to enter, holding keys to doors you never knew existed. Sudden favor is unlike anything else. It does not just add to your life, it rearranges it. It redefines how others see you, and more importantly, how you see yourself. It can happen in a moment, but it carries the weight of years of preparation. It is the culmination of hidden faithfulness, quiet, endurance, and unseen obedience. The ancient words recorded in Romans, chapter 8, verse 31, still echo today. If God is for us, who can be against us? When sudden favor arrives, opposition cannot stop it, jealousy cannot block it, and doubt cannot diminish it. God Himself becomes the wind in your sails, pushing you further in days than your own strength could take you in years. There have been seasons when you labored with little to show for it long hours. Faithful work, persistent hope, yet no visible reward. Those seasons were not a waste, they were investments. And when divine favor is released, the return on that investment comes quickly and in ways you could not predict. What seemed barren will suddenly burst with fruit. Sudden favor often comes with divine connections. People you've never met may speak on your behalf, opening opportunities without you lifting a finger. Resources may appear from unexpected places, aligning perfectly with needs you have not voiced aloud. These are not coincidences, they are coordinated moves of heaven on your behalf. There is also a distinct peace that accompanies true favor. While man-made advancement often demands endless striving and constant self-promotion, divine favor carries ease. This does not mean there will be no work, but the work will feel lighter, the progress swifter, the results greater. It is the difference between rowing against the current and sailing with the wind. Beloved, you must be prepared for how sudden favor changes dynamics. Some will celebrate with you, others will question why it came to you and not them. This is why humility is essential. Favor is not a trophy to be flaunted, it is a trust to be stewarded. The more you keep your focus on the giver rather than the gift, the longer the favor will flow. Be mindful. 2. That sudden favor is often strategic. God may accelerate you, not just to bless you, but to position you for a specific assignment. The blessing is a means to an end, not the end itself. If you see it only as personal gain, you risk missing the greater purpose. You may also notice that sudden favor sometimes comes right after a season of intense struggle. This is not by accident. Often, the enemy will launch his strongest attacks when he senses that favor is near, hoping to wear you down so you cannot fully receive it. But the very pressure meant to break you becomes the final push that launches you into acceleration. When favor comes, it often redeems lost time. Years that felt stolen, whether by mistakes, delays, or opposition, are restored in a fraction of the time it would take to rebuild them naturally. God is not bound by the pace of human schedules. He moves according to his own perfect timing. This is why you must remain attentive. Sudden favor often arrives disguised as an ordinary moment. The opportunity may look small, the introduction casual, the task insignificant, but when you step into it with faithfulness, the hidden potential unfolds. What begins as a simple yes can lead to an entire season of open doors. There is also a protection that comes with true favor. While the spotlight of man's attention can be fickle, divine favor shields you from the harm that often comes with visibility. God knows how to place you where you will flourish without being destroyed by the very platform meant to elevate you. Beloved, prepare your heart for this shift. The pace of your life will change. What once took months will take days. What seemed impossible will suddenly feel inevitable. And as this acceleration unfolds, remember that the same God who brought you into it will guide you through it. Sudden favor is not the result of luck, nor is it the reward of perfection. It is the overflow of God's goodness, released in His perfect timing for His perfect purpose. Your part is to remain faithful, humble, and ready to move when the opportunity appears. The favor is coming. It will not trickle in, it will arrive like a wave. And when it does, you will know without a doubt that it was not your hand that made it happen. It was the hand of God, lifting you higher than you could ever lift yourself. Chosen one. The moment before a miracle often feels like the moment before a storm breaks. The air grows heavy, the tension builds, and everything in you knows that something is about to shift. This is where you are right now, standing at the edge of the final test before your breakthrough. Final tests are not punishments, they are proofs. They are the refining moments that confirm you are ready to handle what you've been asking for. Heaven will never place a blessing in the hands of someone who is not yet prepared to carry it well. The test is not about whether you are worthy. It is about proving that the character forged in the hidden seasons can withstand the weight of glory. We find in the book of Philippians, chapter 1, verse 6, "He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus." God does not start a process only to abandon it halfway. If you are being tested, it is because the completion is close. These final tests often touch the deepest parts of your heart. They may confront your patience, your integrity, your trust, or your willingness to release control. They are designed to press the very places where doubt or fear could later sabotage your blessing. Think of it like a structure being inspected before it is opened to the public. The builder checks every joint, every support beam, to ensure it will not collapse under pressure. Sometimes, the test comes disguised as a delay. You are ready to move forward, but the door remains closed just a little longer. This is not rejection, it is the strengthening of your endurance. Other times, the test comes as an opportunity to compromise. Something tempting appears, offering a shortcut to what you've been waiting for. But shortcuts always cost more than they promise. And the true blessing is never found down that path. You may also face relational tests. God may reveal who is truly aligned with your journey and who is not. This can be painful, especially if it means releasing people you thought would be with you in the next chapter. But obedience in these moments is vital wrong. Alignments can drain the life out of a fresh miracle. The final test is rarely easy, but it is always purposeful. It strips away the last layers of self-reliance and cements your trust in God's timing and methods. When you pass it, you are not just stepping into a blessing, you are stepping into a covenant season. One where the enemy has less legal ground to attack you because your obedience has sealed the door. Beloved, I believe your current challenges are not random attacks, they are indicators. They signal that the delivery of your miracle is imminent. The pressure is not here to destroy you, it is here to prove you. Heaven is watching not to judge you harshly, but to applaud your victory. This is why I want you to mark this moment with a prophetic act. Write 555 inch the comments right now. This is not just a number, it is your declaration that you recognize this as the season of divine testing and completion. You are saying, I am ready. I will endure. I will pass this test. When you write it, you are anchoring your spirit to the truth that you are closer than you think. You are aligning your heart with heaven's timing, declaring that you will not let weariness, temptation, or fear cause you to step out of position. You may not feel strong enough, but you don't have to be. His strength is perfected in your weakness. The test is not about your flawless performance, it is about your steadfast trust. And as you trust, you will find strength rising from places you didn't know you had. Remember, this is the final stretch. The enemy would not be pressing you this hard if you were not close to the finish line. Do not interpret the pressure as a sign you are failing. See it as confirmation that you are moments away from victory. Hold steady. Chosen one, the inspection is almost over. The gates are about to swing wide. And when they do, you will step through with a confidence that comes only from having been proven faithful. Chosen one. When heaven chooses to place glory upon a life, it is never for the sake of spectacle, it is for the sake of testimony. You are stepping into a season where what God has done in you will no longer remain hidden. The process, the pain, the perseverance, they will all become visible as a living witness of His power. Carrying glory publicly is not the same as receiving applause. The world may admire what it sees on the surface, but the true weight of glory is invisible to the crowd. It is the mantle of responsibility, the constant awareness that you are representing the one who sent you. It is knowing that your words, actions, and even your silence will carry an influence far beyond what you intend. The The prophet Isaiah recorded in chapter 60, verse 1, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you." This is not a suggestion to simply stand up. It is a commissioning to radiate what heaven has placed inside you. When the glory rises, it is not just a reflection of God's goodness to you. It is a signal to others that the same God can move for them. Public glory comes after private refining. You endured hidden seasons, not only so your character could be shaped, but so that when the light shone upon you, it would reveal integrity rather than cracks. Every trial was an investment in your foundation. Now, as the stage is set, you will find that your endurance in private gives you stability in public. Carrying glory means walking with both confidence and humility. Confidence, because you know who has called you and what he has placed in your hands. Humility, because you know it is not your own strength or wisdom that brought you here. It is the grace of God alone. This balance will keep you steady when others project expectations onto you that God never required you to fulfill. There will be those who are inspired by the light you carry, and there will be those who are unsettled by it. Some will be drawn, others will distance themselves, and still others may even oppose you. Glory is polarizing because it confronts what is hidden in others. It exposes hunger in some and resistance in others. Neither response should move you from your assignment. With public glory also comes scrutiny. Eyes will watch for your success, and eyes will watch for your missteps. This is why you must remain anchored in the same practices that sustained you in the hidden seasons, time in His presence. Obedience to His voice and a posture of gratitude. These are the safeguards that ensure the light remains pure. Glory will open doors you never thought possible. Invitations will come from unexpected places. Your voice will be amplified in ways you did not seek. This expansion is not so you can be elevated for your own sake, but so the message you carry can reach further than you ever could on your own. Each new platform is an opportunity to point beyond yourself to the one who entrusted you with the message. It is important to understand that the glory you carry is not just a visible aura of favor, it is an active force. It heals, restores, and shifts atmospheres. People may encounter you without knowing your story, yet leave feeling lighter, clearer, more hopeful, because they encountered the presence you carry. This is how the kingdom advances, through vessels who allow the glory to flow freely without trying to own it. You will also find that carrying glory publicly requires discernment in what you share. Not every detail of your journey is meant for open display. Some testimonies must be held until the appointed time, and some insights are treasures meant only for those entrusted to walk closely with you. Wisdom in disclosure will preserve the potency of what you carry. Beloved, this is the season where God is entrusting you not only with a miracle, but with a mantle. The miracle blesses you, the mantle commissions you. One is the fulfillment of a promise, the other is the beginning of a greater assignment. Your life will no longer be about survival, it will be about stewardship. And as you carry this glory, remember that the same God who raised you into visibility can also hide you again if it is needed for your protection. Glory is never about the stage, it is about obedience. Whether before crowds or in the quiet place, the glory remains the same because its source never changes. You are stepping into visibility not to bask in the light, but to become a lighthouse for others. Stand steady, chosen one. The weight of what you carry is great, but the one who placed it upon you is greater still. chosen one. There are moments in a life when the shift is so profound that everything before it feels like preparation, and everything after it feels like fulfillment. You are approaching such a moment now, a turning point where the atmosphere itself will bear witness that something irreversible has taken place. This is not a fleeting emotional high, it is a permanent transformation. The kind that redefines how you see yourself, how others see you, and how heaven deploys you. Shifts of this magnitude are not random. They are the result of converging seasons, the precise alignment of timing, readiness, and divine orchestration. Every twist in your journey, every detour you endured, has been leading here. You may not have recognized the pattern as it unfolded, but from heaven's vantage point, every step was deliberate. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah. Chapter 29, verse 11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. This promise is not abstract, it is deeply personal. The shift you are about to experience is proof that those plans are in motion. Such shifts are not merely circumstantial, they are spiritual. They begin in the unseen, often long before you detect them in the natural. A prayer you prayed years ago begins to bloom. A seed of obedience planted in obscurity bursts into harvest. The longing that once felt like an ache becomes the reality you wake up to. When this kind of shift happens, it often comes with a series of confirmations. Conversations align. Doors open without your knocking. Situations that were stagnant suddenly move with ease. It is as if heaven has breathed a fresh wind into every corner of your life. You may even sense a heightened awareness of God's presence, an inner knowing that you have crossed into something new. But shifts of this scale also bring responsibility. What you carry after the shift is not the same as before. The grace on your life increases, but so does the weight. You will be entrusted with influence, resources, or opportunities that require greater wisdom and discernment. The shift is not just about you, it is about those you will impact because of it. This new season will also require a release of the old. You cannot step fully into what is ahead while clinging to what is behind. Some relationships, habits, or mindsets that were suitable for the last chapter will have no place in the next. The shift will demand clarity and courage to let go, even when the familiar feels safer than the unknown. At times, the transition into the shift may feel unsettling. You may be tempted to question whether you are ready or whether the change is truly from God. But remember this, the same God who prepared you for this has also prepared the place you are stepping into. His provision does not end at the doorway, it flows into every room. He leads you through. One hallmark of a true divine shift is restoration. Things you thought were lost forever may reappear, not in their old form, but renewed, upgraded, and aligned with your current calling. Relationships may be mended, resources returned, dreams revived. What once felt like a barren wasteland becomes fertile ground again. Another hallmark is acceleration. While the preparation season may have felt painfully slow, the fulfillment season moves quickly. What once required months of effort may now happen in days. This is not to overwhelm you, but to make up for lost time. God's shifts often include the redeeming of years that felt stolen. There will also be a new clarity about your identity. The shift will strip away the lingering doubts and insecurities that shadowed your last season. You will walk with a steadier confidence, not born of arrogance, but of finally understanding who you are in Him and what you are here to do. Beloved, you must be ready to move with the shift when it comes. Hesitation can cause you to miss windows of opportunity. This is not the time to overanalyze or to wait for perfect conditions. The shift will come with its own momentum. Your task will be to step into it and let it carry you where God intends. Do not be surprised if, as the shift unfolds, you find yourself in places you never imagined, doing things you never thought possible. This is the nature of divine transformation. It always exceeds the limits you once placed on yourself. And when you look back, you will see that the shift did not just change your circumstances, it changed you. This is the moment when the preparation and the promise collide. The long nights, the hidden work, the unanswered questions, all of it now reveals its purpose. You have not been moving in circles, you have been moving toward this. And once it happens, there will be no going back. The shift is coming. Chosen one. And when it arrives, you will know. Chosen one. Hell miscalculated when it came against you. Every attack, every scheme, every whisper of defeat was intended to bury you. But instead, it built you. The enemy's goal was to weaken your faith, but his assault only drove your roots deeper. And now, you are about to see the great reversal, the season where everything meant for your harm becomes a testimony that multiplies your influence. The reason the opposition was so fierce is because your victory will not be quiet. It will echo, the same way the enemy sought to humiliate you. God will use your breakthrough to display His faithfulness so publicly that it will be undeniable. Those who doubted you will have no choice but to acknowledge that you serve the living God. It will be the kind of victory that cannot be hidden. A turnaround so striking that it will silence every mocking voice. Even those who once opposed you will be forced to witness the evidence of God's hand, and their disbelief will crumble in the face of the undeniable glory shining through your life. The Apostle Paul reminds us in his letter to the Romans, chapter 8, verse 37. No, in all these things, we are more than conquerors, through Him who loved us. You are not emerging from the battle barely surviving, you are coming out carrying spoils. The very territory where you were attacked will become the ground where you build altars of praise. And because your victory will inspire and strengthen others, I urge you to help spread the light. Like, share, and subscribe, not for numbers, but so this same encouragement can reach those still in the trenches. There are people fighting private wars who need to know that survival is not the end of their story. Victory is. Your simple act of sharing could place hope directly into their hands at the moment they need it most. If these words have been a lifeline to you, prayerfully, consider sowing into this work, not as an obligation, but as an act of gratitude to God for sustaining you through the battles you've faced. Your seed helps keep this stream flowing, carrying truth, strength, and prophetic clarity to many who have no other source of it. Every gift, no matter the size, becomes part of the testimony, because it fuels the very message you're receiving right now. Beloved, understand this. The enemy's attack on you was never just about you. He was terrified of the chain reaction your obedience would spark. He knew that your story, once redeemed, would break chains off others. That's why the warfare was personal, intense, and unrelenting. But what he failed to account for was that you were not standing alone. Heaven was backing you. Now, The reversal has begun. The shame he tried to cloak you in will be replaced with honor. The loss he tried to devastate you with will be replaced with restoration. The isolation he tried to trap you in will be replaced with divine connections and kingdom partnerships. And you will not just recover what was stolen, you will receive more than you had before. Your testimony will carry weight because it was forged in fire. You will speak, and chains will break, not because of eloquence, but because of the authority that comes from overcoming. Every scar is now a seal of credibility, proof that you have been where others are and that God can bring them out too. You are stepping into a season where your very presence will make the enemy regret touching you. He will wish he had left you alone, because now you are stronger, wiser, and more dangerous to his plans than you have ever been. You will not only walk in freedom, you will lead others into it. So, as you rise, remember to keep the light moving forward. Engage with this message. Leave a comment about what God has done for you, because your words might be the very confirmation someone else is praying for right now. Share it so the hope multiplies. Subscribe so you remain connected to the flow of truth that will keep you ready for the next chapter. And if the Spirit prompts you, sow a seed, not out of pressure, but as a prophetic statement that you are investing in the freedom of others as well as your own. Beloved chosen one, your victory is not small. It is a statement in the spiritual realm. You cannot touch what God has claimed. And from this point forward, your life will serve as living evidence that what the enemy meant for evil, God has turned for good and for glory. Chosen one. When a miracle comes, it is never meant to be an isolated event. In the kingdom, every blessing carries within it a responsibility. Every victory carries within it an assignment. The miracle you are about to receive is more than provision. It is a mantle. It will rest upon you not as a fleeting moment of joy, but as a lasting authority you will carry into future battles, both yours and those of others. A mantle is different from a gift. A gift can be enjoyed privately. A mantle is given to serve publicly. A gift blesses the receiver. A mantle empowers the receiver to bless others. When God places a mantle upon a life, He is not only acknowledging what you have endured, He is commissioning you for what you will now lead. The Apostle reminds us in his letter to the Ephesians, chapter 4, verse 1, I urge you to live a life worthy of the calling you have received. This is not just a moral encouragement, it is a charge to honor the mantle by the way you carry it. The mantle you are about to carry has been tailored by your journey. It is shaped by the battles you've fought, the prayers you've prayed, and the breakthroughs you've experienced. No one else can wear it, because no one else has been through the exact refining process that has prepared you for it. This is why the enemy fought so hard to stop you, because if you reach this point, you will not only walk in freedom, but also carry the power to set others free. There is a weight to a mantle. It will draw people to you for counsel, prayer, and guidance. Some will come because they sense something in you they cannot explain. Others will come because your story mirrors their struggle, and they believe that if God did it for you, He can do it for them. This is the nature of spiritual authority. It attracts need, and when that need finds you, you will have the resources, wisdom, and anointing to meet it. Carrying a mantle will also stretch you. You will be called into situations you once felt unqualified to handle. You will be asked to speak into lives you would never have approached before. Yet in each of these moments, you will feel the strength of the mantle resting on you. enabling you to do what you could never do in your own power. The authority of a mantle is not meant to be hoarded, it must be poured out. As you move forward, you will notice opportunities to mentor, to teach, to intercede, and to lead. These will not always come with titles or platforms. Often, they will come in quiet. Personal encounters where the Spirit prompts you to act. A single conversation, a prayer spoken in faith, or a timely word of encouragement may shift someone's entire trajectory. It is also important to understand that a mantle is not static, it grows. The more you use it, the more it will expand. The more faithfully you steward it, the more God will entrust to you. Neglect it, and it can become dormant. But nurture it, and it will increase in influence, reach, and effectiveness. You will also discover that your mantle will place you in the middle of spiritual battles, not your own. This is not to burden you, but to extend your reach. There will be moments when you will be called to stand in the gap for others, to fight for them in prayer until they can stand on their own. This is part of the cost of authority. It is not for your comfort, but for the freedom of many. And yet, carrying a mantle also comes with supernatural provision. The one who entrusts you with such a weight will not leave you unsupported. You will find that resources, relationships, and strength come to you in ways that align perfectly with your assignment. You will not need to force them, they will arrive on time, because they are tied to the mission God has placed in your hands. Beloved, this mantle is not just for a season, it is for a legacy. It will outlast you, passed on in ways you may not fully see in your lifetime. Every person you impact, every seed you plant, every chain you help break, becomes part of a generational story that continues long after you are gone. The miracle that begins with you will ripple into families, communities, and perhaps even nations. When you look back, you will see that the battles that nearly broke you were the very training that prepared you to carry this weight. You will realize that your scars are now marks of authority, your tears now fuel for intercession, your victories now blueprints for others to follow. The mantle is coming, chosen one, and when it rests upon your shoulders, you will know it not just by the change in your circumstances, but by the shift in your spirit. You will feel the steadying of heaven's hand, the clarity of divine assignment, and the fire of purpose burning brighter than ever before. Chosen one. This is the moment when all that has been spoken, all that has been promised, and all that has been prepared finally comes together. You are stepping out of one chapter and into another, not just with a fresh page, but with a brand new book. The journey you have walked has brought you here, not by accident, but by the deliberate orchestration of heaven. The crown placed upon your life is not made of gold or jewels, but of authority, honor, and purpose. It is the visible sign of an invisible truth. You have been chosen, tested, refined, and now commissioned. The trials you endured were not to break you, but to prove you ready. The blessings you now receive are not just for your comfort, but for your calling. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 20, verse 4. May he give you the desire of your heart and make all your plans succeed. This is not a shallow wish. It is the benediction of heaven over a life aligned with God's will. The desires of your heart have been shaped in the fire of testing, and the plans that will succeed are those born from that refining. Crowning and commissioning are inseparable in the kingdom. The crown is the honor. The commissioning is the responsibility. Together, they signal that your life is no longer defined by what you survived, but by what you are now sent to accomplish. You will walk in rooms you never imagined, not to seek applause, but to fulfill assignments. Your presence will shift atmospheres, not because of your name, but because of the one whose name you carry. This commissioning will come with clarity. The questions that haunted you in previous seasons will lose their grip, replaced by a steady knowing of who you are and what you are called to do. You will recognize divine opportunities with ease, discern distractions without confusion, and step forward without hesitation. You will also notice a new level of authority in your words. Conversations that once felt ordinary will now carry weight. Encouragement you give will pierce deeper. Prayers you pray will bear quicker fruit. This is not because you have become someone else, but because the mantle and crown resting upon you have activated what was always within you. And yet, even in this moment of arrival, humility will be your safeguard. The same God who lifted you up can keep you steady only if your eyes remain fixed on Him. The crown is not an ornament. It is a reminder that you rule under His authority. The commission is not a suggestion. It is a charge to move in obedience. From this day forward, your life will be a living testimony that miracles are real, that promises are kept, and that chosen ones cannot be erased from heaven's plan. Your path will not be without challenges, but the difference now is that you will face them with the confidence of one who knows they are sent. You are no longer merely enduring. You are advancing. There will be moments when the weight of the crown feels heavy, when the assignments ahead seem beyond your capacity. In those moments, remember the seasons you have already survived. Recall the battles you won, not by your strength, but by His. The same grace that brought you here will carry you forward. And as you walk in this new chapter, you will begin to see the ripple effect of your obedience. Lives will be touched that you never meet face to face. Chains will break in places you never set foot. The words you speak, the prayers you pray, the love you show, they will travel farther than you could ever imagine, carried by the wind of the Spirit to the exact places they are needed. Beloved, you are crowned and commissioned. You have been entrusted with more than a blessing. You have been given a mission, and as you step into it, heaven watches with joy, hell trembles with dread, and the earth will be changed because you chose to rise when you could have stayed down. You are ready. The time is now. Go forth, not in haste, but in authority. Carry your crown with honor, your mantle with purpose, and your commissioning with unwavering faith. The next chapter is not just about what you will do, it is about who you will become. Chosen one, you have reached the end of this journey, but in truth, it is only the beginning. Every word you have heard, every truth that has stirred in your heart, has been part of heaven's design to align you with your appointed moment. You are not leaving this message the same. You are stepping away crowned, commissioned, and carrying a fresh awareness of your calling. Now is the time to keep the flame alive. Do not let the momentum fade. If this message has spoken to you, I urge you to like and share it, not for numbers, but so that it can find its way to someone who is right now where you once were. You may never know whose life your simple action will impact, but heaven will. Leave a comment about what stood out to you or what God has confirmed in your heart through this journey. Your words could be the exact confirmation another chosen one needs to keep moving forward. And if you have not yet done so, subscribe so you remain connected to the steady flow of encouragement, truth, and prophetic clarity released here. Staying connected is more than a convenience. It is a way of keeping your spirit aligned with what heaven is saying in this season. And finally, if the Spirit stirs you, prayerfully consider sowing into this work, not as an obligation, but as an act of faith and agreement with the mission to awaken and equip other chosen ones across the earth. Your seed becomes part of the testimony, fueling the very voice that has been speaking into your journey today. Beloved, you are ready. Go forth, walk in your calling, and never forget you were chosen for this exact moment.